This Sunday. Every Sunday, side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Garino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here, relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp at mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands for the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the MotorMouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Garino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Sunday!
What a cute little baby. Is that your baby? Baby face. You've got the cutest little baby face. There's not another one could take your place.
Hey, Babyface, let me tell you something. You know, pick music for the show every week. I thought I was playing Pink Floyd. I guess library is not alphabetized correctly. Your uncle. Uncle Floyd. How'd that happen? You've tuned in to MotorMouth Radio, Long Island's only automotive and alternately based automotive talk show. As you can see by our music selections, we kind of go everywhere. I figured, what a way to start the new year, Chris.
Right, with some leisure suit entertainment. I was like, that's Uncle Floyd.
That's Uncle Floyd. And so, so I figured we'd start the year with something a little alternative, something a little different.
Yes.
Why not? That's kind of what this show is. So let's just propagate it and keep going. And
it marks 22 years, right?
That this was our anniversary, right? We just had an anniversary this week of I figured you'd give a little synopsis on how that started, because
I think people are tired of hearing it.
Well, it's quite a story. So yeah, you should
I was very young when I was born. It's you know, I had a mediocre radio career growing up, and decided to move into television. And when I did that, I ran into a certain individual named Rob Leonard. I blame him for this. That's man. I blame him. But anyway, but yeah, it was Rob that he pushed me. He says, put a proposal together and do a car show. He says, everybody talks to you about their cars here at the job because we work together in television. And he said, everybody talks to you about your car, and you're a radio guy at heart. So put a proposal together. And I went, no,
right.
No one wants to hear about this. So he forced me, like he did most of the time. That's his technique, pretty much strong arming. And I put a proposal together, and he submitted it to our own ex PD, the illustrious Jim Green, and lo and behold, my the appointment to come and see him here at the college was on September 11th, 2001,
right.
Which to me is still incredibly fascinating. I'm driving to the school and buildings are going down around us, which should have said something karmically. What I was doing was not a good idea.
Yeah, probably something that you want to look into, right?
Right, exactly. I'm sure psychiatrists all across the country are probably nationwide are probably going to be like, this needs to be studied. Well, anyway, so I had gotten into the station, and Jim Green said, you start the first week in January. Now get out of here because we're evacuating the building.
Right.
Which had to be the most efficient interview I ever had. I don't think I said 2 words.
Yeah, and probably good thing you didn't, because then after that he would have
he would have thrown me out of my can.
Listen, I'll tell you something. We're getting some answers to Uncle Floyd already. Christian sending in requests. He's sending in Uncle Floyd requests. I was like, I got two CDs. I got a lot of stuff here because Chris, you and I saw Uncle Floyd live.
I don't think I ever laughed so much. And talk about strong arming. You would say, you kept breaking my shoes. Come on, let's go see Uncle Floyd. And I'm like, no, I don't want to see him. Come on. Oh, let's go see Uncle Floyd. It was the greatest show I think we've ever seen.
It was phenomenal. It was at the
Is it Governor's?
No, it was the Comedy House in Belmore, the Brokerage. Small, intimate club, and we sat there at a little table, and Uncle Floyd sat there with his piano and oogie, and he just played away and did his thing for like a couple hours.
Yes.
And then we met him outside in the lobby and bought CDs and had a great old time and said,
oh yeah. And I don't even know where those CDs are. They're floating around someplace.
We bought two of his original CDs.
Yes.
And then what happened is I took the originals and I copied them both and gave you one original and a copy of the other. And I have the other original and a copy of the other. So that way it was fair. We each have an original and a copy.
Thank you.
And he autographed them. He
did.
Yeah, to Chris and Ray of MotorMouth Radio. Uncle Floyd, it is autographed.
It is certainly autographed. I actually have them in a stack of MotorMouth Radio CDs. Remember when we used to burn CDs every week of this fine, upstanding program? And I think it's in those stacks.
Remember when the show used to be recorded on cassette tape?
On cassette. That was the whole reason why we took a bottom of the hour break.
Only because the 8-track player broke?
I couldn't get the wire recorder to spool up. It just wasn't working.
The Edison machine was on the fritz.
Yes.
So listen,
nothing like an Edison cylinder to show off those quality tones. Yeah.
So that being the case, January 3rd was the anniversary. And we used to come in and we'd have cakes, and we've had listeners come in and bring cakes and cookies, and we've had all sorts of great stuff when we were both in the studio.
Right.
So I this time of year, this show, the first one, we always go through a quick recap of what happened, memorable moments from the year before for this show.
Right.
The list has gotten a little shorter. Some years it was really short, but back in January 8th, it was almost a year ago today, right?
Right.
We had our first live broadcast to the YouTube channel when Mark Warman was on with us.
Oh, wow.
Now, we haven't had Mark on since then, and since then, we haven't been able to do a live YouTube broadcast either. That kind of stopped. Now we have to manually upload to YouTube.
Right. So it has something to do with Mark.
Well, here's one for you. March 19th, the new promo debuted.
That's right. I was thinking about that. Out of all the many things I need to do, I should put together a new promo.
What was the interval for those in the past that they were new?
Used to be 3 months.
Every 3 months, and it'll be a year in March.
Yeah.
Well, another good thing happened in March that actually had everybody else but me jealous as hell, because on the 26th we were doing our fundraising thing. Right. And Tom from Massapequa came in with the Sicilian pizza for the fundraiser.
Yes.
And I ate it on air, and everybody was jealous. And
we were annoyed. I still am.
And then we go to July. In July 23rd, you used the free call text service for the first time. What is that number so Brian can text you?
Yes, the Hey Matt Command Brian toll-free text number. Oh, by the way, I'd like to thank Brian for filling in for me.
We'll get to that.
Yes, I wanted to thank him for that because he did a masterful job. But the number is 203-670-4127, 670-4127. And remember that ultra important area code, right. 203. So write it down. Yes.
I think Vince has it wrong. Alan Sherman did Hello Mother, Hello Father, right?
Yes, you're correct.
So Vince, you're wrong. That was Uncle Floyd. That's Uncle Floyd. Maybe he covered it. I don't know, but that's an Alan Sherman song.
Right.
Okay, just so we know. Okay, so let's see. Back in August, this was a big one for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
On the 6th, you actually came in and made a visit to the Air Studio. You were live. We were live together again for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah. For what? 5 years?
About, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so you look at at the period where you stepped away. Then Joe and I did the show for a number of years, and then when we came back, you came back. You came back in. We were remote like this. We weren't in the same place.
That's right.
So it's the first time we were in the studio for like 6 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, because I've done the show in place of you. I've had to drive in before the show got incredibly technological.
Right.
When it was just a matter of just running a board and walking away at the end of the hour.
So now back to Brian, and again, we thank Brian a lot. Brian filled in for you last week as a co-host.
Yes.
September 10th, Macroman Brian, he sat in as a host, and I had to go to Studio 3 because in the beginning of the show, we lost all power, everything. That was the whole studio. Everything went dead, and we had to do
Right.
We only had like 20 minutes of content from an hour show. So
It was a complete dumpster fire, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then again, Brian has set history because he co-hosted 4 times last year. No one
Wow.
done that ever. Maybe once someone co-hosted, but because again on September 17th, I did the Malba show and Brian co-hosted with you.
Right.
Then September 24th, he co-hosted with me because you were out. You were down in Florida on the 24th.
Right.
So that was, and then again, we go to last week, December 31st. Brian co-hosted again for the 4th time while you were away.
And it's kind of funny because while the show was going on December 31st, I was probably within shouting distance of Brian's home where he was broadcasting from, because I was at the Chesapeake House listening to you guys.
Right.
I was on the highway.
Right.
And I would have loved to have known where he was originating from and knock on his door.
Right. Well,
Hey!
as Brian laid out on the Plane and Traffic show Thursday night, he sequestered himself in his basement, locked the vault, told everybody to keep the dogs upstairs, everybody be quiet. He's got important work to do. I don't know what he was doing. Just doing
Yeah, certainly wasn't talking to you.
Yeah. So,
well, that's so funny because when I come down to do the show here every week, my family runs away.
that's nice.
They're like, "What are you doing? Doing a show? See you in an hour."
Yeah.
This place could be on fire.
Right.
The lights could be flickering. There could be a flood going by. Leave them alone.
Right.
They're not gonna. Won't even bother coming to call for me or looking for me for anything. No, it's like he's doing the show.
The other funny thing is with Brian, which is great. Of course, this show goes up as a video on YouTube on Motormouth Video, and I suggest and I ask people to go check it out, subscribe to the channel, and help us out and whatever. It'll go up later on today. Last week's show, when Brian was on with me, midweek, the hits on that show surpassed the week before with you and I. So we put it, and he did. He still beat us by 1. Put a
I love it,
and they do better than us. So.
I love it.
I know. When Christian was on about a month or so ago, the same thing. We had like many more, I think we got to hang out with their friends. I don't know. They seem to have more influential friends than we do, I guess. I don't know.
No one wants to talk to us.
Yeah.
They're tired of looking at us.
Speaking of Christian, I want to say something, and I don't know if it'll affect his, if I'll make him, make him reddened, or if I'll embarrass him. I shouldn't. He has a display at the Hot Dog Library of, we've spoken in the past about Geiger counters and exometers and all sorts of crazy stuff. Well, he has a big collection of stuff, and I actually gave him some radioactive samples that I had, and his display is at the library on Vets Highway for at least for this month. So, and it's pretty extensive. It's so if you want, I'm going to go check it out. And if we have listeners who are out in Suffolk, they want to check that out too. To the Hot Dog Library. I don't know where. We'll find out. Just look for ask them to shut the lights out. Look for the display that's glowing.
I just saw a text on our text line at 203-670-4127 saying Christian is radioactive.
Right.
I just saw it go by.
Really? Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But that's fascinating. That's what I truly respect about him. He knows a lot of stuff.
In my mind, Christian and
a varied amount of knowledge. Yeah.
Tyler over in Ohio.
Right.
Those two guys, the two of those guys together would be dangerous because they know so much about so many different things, and they can describe it and eloquently, convey it. Those two guys together would be dangerous if they.
I'm sure.
Now I have the power to introduce them. And I don't know if it's in the world's best interest to do it or not. I really don't. I'm not sure. I might be, maybe like crossing the fourth wall here if I did.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for individuals that truly have a knowledge of knowledge.
Right.
They just know like a little bit or a lot about everything, and I tip my hat to those people. It really is. It's a gift. It's an obsession. I think I truly think it's a passion and obsession that's kind of directed in the correct way. But yeah, I think that's very cool to know that people like that listen to us, critique us, like the show, and actually come back the next week to listen again is a testament to our program, I would think, or the lack of it thereof.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's good to know that there are people that are out there, that still are out there, that are thinkers. Great thinkers are still out there.
Well, speaking of out there, let's go to the phones and say, hey, caller, you're on with the Motormouths.
So everything I learned is from watching Uncle Floyd Kid.
Yes, there we go. It's Christian. From watching Uncle Floyd. There you go.
Christian, tell me.
It was Julia's stepchild.
Yeah.
Christian, tell me what would you remember the first thought in your mind when you watched Uncle Floyd for the first time?
Black and white.
Black and white. You watched it on a black and white TV?
No. What was your first thought when you saw him? What was your thought about the whole process?
I was only, 1979.
Okay.
Going into 1980. So probably I was in fourth grade. I lived in Amityville.
Right.
I had met a kid in the neighborhood who liked to watch Speed Racer.
Yeah.
And he would draw like all the Speed Racer stuff on his notebook or whatever. And I kind of was, that was really cool, all this stuff. So he told me, he's like, oh, you got to go on channel 62, UHF.
68.
Back when he used to dial in on UHF and dial in,
right.
get the foil out, get the antennas going. And I ran home and I got Speed Racer up after I got my tinfoil just right on my antenna and all that stuff. Dialed in the fine tune on there, got all the back out as much as I could. And I watched Speed Racer. Well, the show that was on after Speed Racer was none other than Uncle Floyd.
Yeah.
Right. And I continued to just, watch it and be like, what in the heck?
Yeah.
But I kind of understood, okay, this is like public access TV, bunch of guys in a basement filming a show, obviously,
Right.
I was still a little too young to really realize that, obviously, because it had puppets and it had drawings and it had just all this laughter. And you had Looney Skip Rooney and you had Neto and Scott and all these guys involved. But as I watched it, I realized that he had people on that were celebrities.
Yeah, sure.
People don't know, right?
Right.
Like Tiny Tim.
Right.
Bowie, big fan, by the way.
Okay.
The Ramones.
Yep.
Who else?
How about Bon Jovi's first appearance on television?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember
the basement in Jersey.
Yeah.
It was it. Just in the basement in Jersey.
Sea Caucus.
Skits, Cowboy Charlie, Goomba, Julius Stepchild, of course, because you can find that on YouTube.
And I tell you, Christian, when we saw him live, it was literally the TV show in front of us at the brokerage.
He's a super talented guy.
He is.
And
he's
to see him off the set of the TV, like in a comedy, the cursing and the ethnic jokes die for.
Yes.
Like the Polish baby, the Italian baby, the Jewish baby, like he does all the hand gestures and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's every uncle I'm related to.
Well, so I'm glad that my choice to start the new year at least tickled someone's fancy.
Out of all people, right? Yeah, go figure.
I was always a huge fan. At the same time, Christian, I used to love that it was the first time I ever heard anyone, like a studio member, talking off mic. Like he would talk to the studio and they would talk back to him, but they weren't on mic. So you heard off mic, and it just sounded like I never heard that on television.
It's like breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, television was like such a
Great.
polished thing. So yeah,
It's like the Monty Python of the East Coast. Really.
yes,
The whole
perfect way.
You, you knew it wasn't Chuck McCann. You know,
No,
watching. You know,
And it was like One Take Charlie too. They just
Right.
that was it.
They
Right.
just winged it, man.
right.
But you
That's
know the Hugo
what I
doll.
loved.
Remember how I don't know if it was Scott or Neto. They used to put the Hugo doll on the stick and make it dance around while I was playing the piano.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
completely simple.
I have two of those Hugo dolls,
Oh.
which is the Mattel. You know the Mattel. If people out there, it's the man of 1,000 faces, Hugo.
Right.
Mondo, the man. That was the original. The doll was taken off the market because it was so creepy. Of course, I had two of them.
Yeah.
Of course, I brought mine to the Uncle Floyd show. Then I got to perform with it on stage with him and then get it autographed afterwards.
Nice.
So I do have his autograph.
Dude, you're a celebrity.
Nice.
These are my achievements.
That's-
You know, I got to tell you, just to wrap this up.
I'm impressed.
to wrap this up, you know, something else happened this week, Chris. That falls in with this. I sent Christian a link to a video on YouTube about all right, about a racer that was a little less than honest back in the day, and he said, "I just watched that," and I said, "Look," I replied to him. I said, "What? You surprised? Look, we follow the same stuff. We like the same stuff. It's like we're in those same circles." So it's and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we're anything special. I'm just saying that's how you know you're with the right people. You know,
Sure.
Because me and Ray's algorithms crash into each other and said, "Hey, you put chocolate in my peanut butter. You put peanut butter in my chocolate."
Right. The Venn diagrams are always crossing. Yes.
But
Which is cool.
R.L. Payton, right? And
R.L.
then
Payton. Yeah.
you know, in that video, they also mentioned the funny car driver that is the guy that was in the mob.
Oh,
He was
Freddie
another one.
Denome.
Yes, Denome. Yes,
I
that's
wrote a
another
big
one
piece.
that-
Gnome or Deneen?
Well, both. He was illiterate, couldn't spell his own name,
Oh,
so he spelled it the
Couldn't even
name, but
drive
it
a
was
funny
the
car that well.
You know,
Who can?
I was just talking with our friends Rick and Cliff about this a couple of weeks ago, and I wrote when I was doing blog pieces for Scotty Gosson, the guy who does our intro song. This is going back a number of years. He asked me. He would just call me and say, "Hey kid, I need a blog. I need something for the blog for this week. Give me something." So I'm like, "Oh my God, you know, talk about being under pressure." It was like, I used to call myself, you know, it was like the Jimmy Olsen to his, you know, Perry White, you know, and I just looked at what was going on, and it was actually the Cannoli Fest in Brooklyn that particular weekend. So I said, "Good, I'm starting with the Cannoli Fest."
there you go.
Did some research on the bakery. It was in Bensonhurst, and then Bensonhurst. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, Bensonhurst, Canarsie, who? I worked Freddie Dename or Denome into it, however you want to call it, and it was a pretty long piece. It went over very well. It got a lot of hits, and I sent it over to these guys who were both in that area at the time, and they knew the stuff. Like, wow, that was, you know, a pretty interesting piece. I could put a link to it up, I guess, because I did look. That blog space is still up. So
Really?
maybe link that to the
Dorkomotive podcast. I'll send you the link because he did a full podcast about Denome, and also he has podcasts about the Green Monster. That guy, Alphonse.
Oh, Al Alphonse, right?
Yep. And then there's another one. He's got a 2-part series about the Turbo Axle guy and all his shenanigans.
Okay.
Which is the Rocket, right? And then Jack McClure, which is the one that did the Rocket go-kart.
Right. Yeah, a lot of
and all
crazy
that
stuff.
And recently I talked with Skip about, because Skip was there actually, the Watkins Glen incident when the Formula One race where all the people went nuts and they set the bus on fire and everything.
Yeah.
You remember that story?
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Locomotive. I don't know what happened to that guy, but that was he has a great bunch of shows to listen to. And the one, of course, he probably has an R.L. Payton too. I have to go back and check on that.
Right.
You know, but that's in that was the slingshot era, because supposedly R.L. Payton was one of the first guys to have a blown Chrysler.
He did, yes. They said that in the video that he was one of the first guys to have a 426. Yeah,
Really?
Beat Don Garlits.
And he did beat Don Garlits, yes. Correct.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Wow.
All right, Christian. Well, thanks for the trip down memory lane, brother.
Yeah, Uncle Floyd, man. Come on, Cowboy. Deep in the heart of Jersey. You got to play that.
That's deep in the heart of Jersey.
Yeah,
I
right?
wonder if it's on here.
It's got to be.
Let's see. You know, I can't look at the CD that's in the machine, but the one that's out. Let's see. I got here Oogie, Mr. Grouch, Oogie, and somebody. Oogie and Bon Jovi, Cowboy Charlie, Clone,
Cowboy Charlie, yeah.
Colonel Corn, UB Small Lips, Tom Carvel.
Oh, UB Small Lips.
Yep.
Oh my.
Eddie Schlobo, Ken Doe, Don Goomba, right? Julia
Don
Stepchild.
Goomba,
yeah, Jimmy Durante, Senor La Basura, and Oogie. Yeah, you know what? We could do a whole show on this, but we
sure could.
I'm almost sorry I brought it up.
We need to get him on.
If he's still around, right? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Maybe he can come on with Rob Leonard, and we'll spend like a whole day there. He's so entertaining. It'd be great.
Yes, I agree.
I agree too.
All right, Christian. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Christian.
See you later.
All right.
Talk to you soon. One time I got a call from my cousin who produces ravioli in the old country. And he said, come on down to the store. And I was like, why? He says, don't ask, just come on down. So I was, all right. So I get in the car, I drive down there. Sometimes when you get it put in that way, you go and do.
Right.
So I did. I walk in, and sure enough, there's who's standing there but Uncle Floyd.
Yeah.
And I got to meet him. I got a picture with him. It's floating around the house somewhere. It's me and Uncle Floyd in a ravioli store. And I'm like, you get any more Italian than that?
You know, right. Speaking of this stuff and the promotional stuff, I want to show you something else I did this week. We've been doing a little bit of house cleaning, cleaning closets, and I know you were doing that too, and saying that the
yes,
stuff, I've been getting rid of a lot of the old clothes.
And most of my stuff is on eBay, but yeah.
Okay, so I found some stuff, and I actually sent some stuff out to our good friend Isaac out in Arizona.
Oh, good, we got a visual. It's a MotorMouth Radio visual here.
You remember this?
I do. I just washed it. I did. I literally just washed that shirt.
This is the MotorMouth Radio. My wife found these. She had like 6 of them stashed.
Wow.
So I said, all right, you know what? I got to send one out to Isaac. And then I also, well, because of you found through your stuff, this was remember the inside cling decal for the windows that would fall apart. But
I still have.
Well, right.
I still have like not even a dozen, maybe like 4 or 5 of them.
We had done these decals here.
I remember that bumper sticker. And that went
one too.
They went nowhere.
They went on people's toolboxes in their garages, so they never went on the cars.
Because nobody was going to have the guts of the brains to put it on their car. Yeah, that was one of our lesser known promotional items. Very rare nowadays. I'd spend a lot of money for that.
I would too. You know what? I will put that again after the show. I'll put up a link on the social media. It's MotorMouth Radio. If you go to X and Facebook, it's _MotorMouth Radio. On Twitter, not Twitter, on that's the X one. On Instagram, _MotorMouth Radio. And I every week I put up a couple of pictures to things we spoke about on the show, and this will be among them. And I'll put up a link to that YouTube show where you should go and then subscribe so that we can see if Brian keeps beating us when he appears. We'll see. So anyway, you know what? We've burned a half an hour really quick. Let me get with the bottom of the hour. We got to take care of a few things.
Yes, and I have to go and find the MotorMouth Radio honor group.
Oh, Brian had a great one last week, and it actually transferred over to Thursday night where we spoke about it because it was so damn good. It was actually thought-provoking and inspiring to people. So,
I liked it, and if I can only remember what it was, but I know you have
about if you got a project or projects, don't just sit and look at them. Do something with them. Do something. Move something, like dust it off. Do something to at least get you back in touch with it, which will hopefully get that ball rolling to getting it worked on and hopefully finished it someday. And it was great inspirational words. Brian said it much better than I did. But so I will tell you that the WHPC weather forecast is powered by Pantano's Gourmet with locations in Hewlett and Uniondale. And today, it's a crappy day. It's a lot better than the day you're having up in the frozen north, I'm sure.
No, I got snow.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we're like the temperature's not bad. We're like I think it's in the 40s. We had rain last night, rain today. It'll rain all day. I think it's going to rain into scattered rain into the evening, and it's going to be colder tomorrow. So I guess at night the temperature be going down. So luckily we'll be getting out of that. And then sunny tomorrow, I hear, so that's good. So Fridays at midnight also, again, all the reads I got to do are it's like 2 days, a day or two before our show. So remember for next Friday to listen to It's Saucy. And no, I'm not talking about the lasagna I made with the giant pot of sauce and meatballs and sausage on the stove. Not talking about that Saucy.
Right.
This is a show where DJ Steph transcends the new era of hip hop and reggae with flavor and variety. That's the good saucy part every week. So Fridays at midnight.
Okay.
So, do you have for us
Yes.
First one
brought to you by the Miracles.
This one has to be good.
Well, it's kind of close to Brian's because Brian's was very good. The MotorMouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, drivers whose New Year's resolutions involve their vehicles. Now, I'm not talking about those individuals that say they're going to keep their Toyota Camry running another year. You know, what's the challenge in that? No, I mean a resolution to go learn a new skill, like ride on two wheels or learn how to weld or actually do body work correctly and not just with a half a can of Bondo like I do. Do some vehicular photography. Take the fleet to a nice setting, get some glamour shots. Sell those leftover stuff from finished projects that you no longer have the vehicles for. Get all that junk out of the house, Ray.
Yeah, I know.
Make it a point to attend more vehicular social events, car shows, cruise nights. You never know. You may bump into Ray.
You might.
You may bump into Ray Guarino from MotorMouth Radio. You can get a picture taken with him. Hey. Just remember to be realistic. Don't just ignore the maintenance until it needs repairs, or resolve to not wash the car as often as it needs, or even resolve to keep turning up the radio to cover any alarming noises. I make those resolutions every year. I can't keep those either. Yeah. So if your New Year's resolution involves something that has to do with your vehicle, then you are part of the MotorMouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour this week.
There you go. That is good. And that's what everybody, all of us need to do that because it's tough sometimes to keep that stuff going. But yeah. All right, so let me see if if I've mastered this CD player. Sometimes you want to increment to find a spot. You know, songs with like these Pink Floyd songs with the long lead-ins, you want to get to the mid. So let me see if my 25 seconds is 25 seconds, or if it was like 23 parsecs. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
And we'll be back with more MotorMouth Radio with your hosts, Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer, right here on 90.3 WHPC. Keep it where you got it.
Little sad note, I walked in a little early today, and the chef was in the back crying. And I says, Joe, what's up? Why so glum? He said he baked a pie, and his little dog came over and ate the pie. I says, oh, don't worry, I'll get you another dog. Just joking. All right, let's do the choruses. I have a sad story to tell you. It may hurt your ears just a bit. Last night as I walked in my bathroom, I stepped in a big pile of shaving cream. Be nice and clean, shave every day and you'll always be clean.
This is MotorMouth Radio, your 1-hour automotive talk show. And now, here are your Motormouths, Chris Switzer and Ray Guarino.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar Lifetime Nationwide Warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
You're listening to the Motor Mouth.
Hey, Ray and Chris.
Did you guys read my mind?
Okay, I appreciate you having me on.
Wow, you guys finally figured it out.
Motor Mouth.
This is great. No more foolishness.
I miss my paisans.
You're a funny guy. I've been waiting for Sunday just to ask you guys this question.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
Well, good afternoon, guys. I need a little advice.
All right, so you got me to call it. All right.
I don't know everything. You know, you guys are mechanics. You guys have a great show. Thank you very much. I come with a tale of woe and a warning for the younger guys.
Chris is doing
jumping jacks. He's getting ready. Ray is right behind me.
Every time I get off the air, I think,
MotorMouth.
oh boy, they're never going to ask me back after that one.
Yeah, this is a collect call. How are you?
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
Oh, I probably called the wrong number. I was trying to get a hold of Ray.
And I wake up screaming.
So I'm very happy to listen to your good advice.
Yeah, I want to know what the is wrong with my car.
You know, break it down for us call guys.
All right, see you next weekend.
MotorMouth.
I know you guys usually speak Guido, and now you're talking tinsel and Yiddish, and this morning I happened to listen to the rabbi on your station. So it's all, you know, I guess today's Yiddish then.
Right.
There are answers, sometimes correct ones, and we may have them.
MotorMouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
MotorMouth.
Hey, you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the MotorMouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
Nice and clean. Shave every day and you'll always be clean.
Yes. Shave every day. You'll always be clean. And don't step in it, Chris, because I see you over there. No. You want more?
The army.
This is just so
One
good.
day I looked into my kit. I thought I would find me a sandwich.
No,
but the darn thing was loaded with shaving cream. Be nice and clean. Shave every day and you'll always be clean.
All right. It looks like we have a long-distance call on the horn here. Let's go to the phones and fun. Say hi, caller. You're on with the MotorMouths.
Hey, Ray. Hey, Chris. It's Isaac in Arizona. Coach Isaac.
It's Coach Isaac.
Hey, what's up, Coach?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys this morning? Well, it's afternoon for you, morning for me.
Yes, we're doing well. Yeah, of course we're here, so we're able to be up and do the show. And I always thank the higher powers that be that I'm able to do that because it beats the alternative. So, yes, very good.
Definitely. I caught on there. You gave the plug that you had sent that shirt out and those stickers out to me. I really appreciate it. It really made my day. I can't wait this next week at Cars and Coffee. I'm going to wear my MotorMouth shirt so people can ask me about you guys.
Just, Coach, I will say this. You're the perfect person to do that because you're in good shape and you can duck real fast. So, when the stuff starts coming at you, just get out of the way. You might be shaving cream. Who knows? All right.
Yeah.
Old joke.
Get a picture, Coach. Get a picture of you wearing the shirt.
Send us a picture and I'll post it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Very good. That's cool.
Yeah, they're very rare commodities nowadays. That's for sure. And literally, I found one in the bottom of my drawer, and I looked at it and went, "This thing needs to be washed." I don't think I ever wore it.
I know. These are brand new. They still have the yellow sticker on it. A couple of them are like dirty from dust in the closet. I said they've never been used. They're brand new. They're new old stock, is what they are.
Old stock.
I think it was like 2009. That one was made.
Yeah,
probably. So
yeah,
we had done them every year for a while. We had some sponsors that were, funding us to do that. We haven't done that in a while. So,
right.
Yeah, very good. Cool.
Still looking for sponsors though.
I'm excited. If you guys do make more, definitely keep me in the loop because I'll have to get something that I can use to work on the car with. I won't use that one. That one's too pretty.
On our old site, we had a page that was people working in the MotorMouth Radio T-shirt. I still have those pictures at home, and it was like, and I think Drew Parisi, Dina Parisi's husband, he got the dirtiest. He worked so much, yeah. But we got
was literally
Glenn. There's a couple of them that we had up there of people working in the MotorMouth shirt. Yeah. So yeah, definitely, we'll keep you in the loop, Coach. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, definitely. I'll need one so I can wear an extra one so I can wear it while I'm working on the Chevelle.
Right.
I think this year after Brian's Honor Group of the Hour got me motivated. As you guys mentioned last week, I'm gonna need to pull out the Chevelle, start working on it, and get the Porsche moving so I can get it moved and get the Chevelle in the carport.
that's the thing. It's all about finding the space, getting the space, allocating it, and then having the time to get out there and do what needs to be done. And some projects are really, really intense. I know, like on the ship, those cars, you're going to do a lot of, a lot of work. They're not going to be quick weekend projects, so they become protracted projects. So it can be quite labor intensive.
And Coach, I've always learned to do a little bit, just a little bit. If you have an hour to kill, go out there and do it. And what I love about that is it just motivates you to get more stuff done. So I'm a firm believer of what Brian said for the honor group. Definitely. Just get in there and get it done. Mm-hmm.
Well, and going to the Cars and Coffee yesterday, there was a Porsche 914. That's what I have. There was a Porsche 914 out there, and there was a blue 72 Chevelle. Both got my attention and just dug at me.
There you go. Yeah, the cars you have. I know. It seems like the same thing would happen to me. Anybody who has a car that isn't done or hasn't been started. You go to those shows, and of course, that's all you see is the car you have sitting there languishing at home, and you say, "Oh God, I ever get to this position?" So yeah, we've all been there. But well, listen, here's to resolve and getting things done in the new year, and hopefully you can get out there and get some forward progress. We're behind you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely. Well, thank you guys. I'll let you go so you can continue the show. You guys have a wonderful day, and then bundle up. I checked the weather out there, and it's cold out there.
It's not that bad. Not that bad. No, if you came here, it would be bad. It ain't that bad. But yeah, it's a good warning anyway, in case, because if you ever get stuck, you want to be warm. So
right.
Thanks, Isaac. We'll talk to you again on Thursday night.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right. So long.
Good hearing from you, Isaac. Thanks.
Yes, good old Coach. You can hear Coach Isaac. He's on Plane and Traffic with us every week.
Yes.
And, comes in, and his mom watches the show. So he holds up sometimes. Hi, Mom. I'm like, why don't you just say hi, Mom? She's looking at you. I don't know. So let's talk about. You want to talk about some car stuff? A little more down and dirty.
I was going to say we only got about another 20 minutes left of the show. Why not?
Well, one of the things I've been doing lately, I do a lot of brake work, and I was working on Mike's Avalanche, and now the vehicles that are in the late 90s, early 2000s with the early ABS systems are coming up, and they're having faults and codes and all sorts of problems. So there's also all sorts of faults and codes and problems when you can't just finish your thoughts. So we're going to go to the phones. Let's go to the phones and say hi. You're on the Motor Mouths.
Hey, guys, how you doing? Happy New Year. It's Cliff.
Cliff, what's happening?
Hey, what's up, brother love? How are you?
Happy New Year, fellas.
Yes, thank you.
I had a quick question for you guys, and because I want to know, and maybe you've spoken about this on a episode that I might have missed. Have you guys ever had any experience with any of this stuff called fluid film, or they call it like a body cavity wax for the chassis at all? And your thoughts on that? Only because I bought an old 09 Hyundai Santa Fe for my daughter, and it has a recall from Hyundai for some underbody corrosion, where you actually bring it to the dealer and they talk about putting some kind of cavity wax into the, I guess those like unibody kind of frame rails, which, believe it or not, I missed the spot that actually does have some corrosion underneath. And but then I've been reading a lot about this fluid film stuff that people are spraying on the cars, and it's like some kind of lanolin wool in the thing. And I just want to know if you guys have used it or any experience with it.
I tell you what, I haven't. I was hoping that we would have been at lunch talking about this over a table this week, but you couldn't make it. So we're going to try and do it. We're going to try and do it next week. I haven't used it, but I've watched a bunch of videos and read a bunch of stuff. And there's a guy, I'll see if I can find this video and send it to you, because he's a YouTuber who does stuff like that, cleaning products and things. And then he does a follow-up, like, how long did this stuff last? And I know he did one recently on fluid film and cavity wax. And I think Project Farm also did something on the best one to use.
Okay.
But I'll look into it and see, and I'll send you that video. I think at first glance it's a good thing, because it does get into the chassis and it kind of it's like a Por 15, but in a different form. It encapsulates the rust and keeps the oxygen away.
I have an appointment to bring it in it's actually a recall. It's an old recall, and it was interesting. And I'm going to bring it to the dealer in about 2 weeks. Yeah, it was interesting stuff. And
Cliff, just to let you know, Cliff, that John just texted us at 203-670-4127, said Fluid Film is giving it big fat thumbs up here. So just to let you know, give you the news flash from John. He says it's the tops. So
yeah.
Now,
we'll
John,
talk about it.
I wonder which John that is.
You're John.
Yeah, I see some on the internet that it's like clear, and some is actually like a black colored one, but it's not listed as like a paint. So I guess maybe it just sprays on black and stays kind of wet looking, So
right.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to do this car maybe even after they do it,
Right.
My concern is whatever debris is in there in that channel is going to get sprayed over.
Well, I know they sell it's tubes and rods to get in, and so you could go with air first and blow out whatever is loose. Or just drive through Brooklyn. Whatever's going to happen, it'll bounce out of the whole.
It was funny because when I looked at this car, it was I kind of stuck my head under the car, no leaks. Outer rails look great. I didn't get all the way under there, and there's a spot on the inner rail. The rest of the car was like a mint, mint for a 2009 car. It was best as it could be, well kept.
It was good.
But missed this spot underneath. But maybe this will help slow it down.
Right. Right.
But all right, fellas, it's a great show as usual.
Thanks, Cliff.
I always look forward to it on Sundays.
Yeah, we may be. Hopefully, we'll be sitting across the table soon and
I hope so.
Shooting a breeze. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, Cliff, thanks.
Take care, guys. Happy New Year, both of you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So long.
Happy New Year. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, and you know what? We're going to go right back because we have another caller. Yes, caller, you're on the MotorMouths.
Hello, Ray. Hello, Chris. Happy New Year to you and the rest of the listening audience at MotorMouthRadio.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
And that was me texting you about fluid. I have a buddy of mine that swears by it, and I haven't used it personally, but I've seen some of the stuff he sprays it on, and like you said, Ray, it encapsulates. Oh my God, you don't even need to clean the undercarriage of the car. You just spray it over it. The only caveat is it requires an annual, reapplication. I guess probably not so much for, the inside of the structural parts of the car because they're not as susceptible to water spray and what have you. The only thing I don't like about it, if you got a show car, every piece of dust, leaf sticks to it.
Oh, yeah. So that's no good. It's funny because I did my own version yesterday. I took my FJ into the shop just to do some PM. I want to do an oil change. And when I do the oil, I always do a tire rotation. And then I do a brake bleed, which was going to be the topic I was going to talk about was the ABS brake bleeds. And on that truck, I do have some rust underneath. And I started spraying the chassis just with black paint, over some of the lighter rust. And I noticed that where the chassis stayed black, but there's a lot of welds because there's a lot of gussets. It's a truck chassis. The welds always rust first before the metal does. So, just to throw it out there. That's, I'm trying to do a little bit, to try and help prolong it. So
yeah, for an everyday driver, you're on the roads with the salt, the brine up here. It definitely, and I've seen it go over rust, and it's amazing. The finished products, and you don't have to do anything. You just spray it over, and it encapsulates it.
Right. See, the other problem that I've seen is I've worked on people's cars who have had stuff like that done. Christian's talking about Z-Bar. Billy G is talking about Tough Coat Dynel from the 70s. I remember Rusty Jones. Those were all.
Remember Extend?
They were all kind. But the problem is I've worked on people's cars, even who have done like extensive undercoating. Now you got to take a bracket off or take a bolt off. There's no head anymore. It's undercoated. So you got to chisel it or pound your socket on it to get it off, and then pound the socket, the bolt out. It can cause problems for maintenance down the road, which you really don't think of. You're just thinking of prolonging the life. But
and I always think about the humidity that gets behind it once it's applied. sometimes humidity will get behind it. Now it encapsulates it within that and the metal.
You know, my friend that has done this to numerous cars, his own included, they have a kit where you can go in through all the, in a structure, tubular stuff, and it's got like a spray head on it, and you hook it to a compressor, and it just fans out, and you push it far back and drag it through.
Right.
But it does seem to encapsulate the rust. I was impressed, back in the late fall, he did somebody's car, and I went, wow, it impressed me. I wouldn't throw it under a show car, but...
no. Well, I said, I've used POR 15 back in the day on stuff, and it did the same thing. It was a rust encapsulator, and it did work. It did turn into the hardest surface on Earth, so if you did need to do something later, then if you did go over a bolt or a screw, forget about it.
Yeah, that's the part I like about the fluid film. It, is fairly easy to get off if you're doing service on the vehicle. And it's also, I think, all natural products. I think the base ingredient in it is lanolin.
Right. Yes, John. They've come a long way through science, and people have researched it and found that there was a good cause and a reason to do this. So they did put money into the research, and now they have much better products. I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah, because what's that stuff? NOH or that's oil-based though.
Okay.
The lanolin is sort of sacrificial. If you hit it hard enough with a hose, in hot water, it probably...
lanolin, soap, that's in soap. I think it was in Prel or one of the detergents they used to... It was a dish detergent commercial we used to see all the time as kids, like, oh, it's got lanolin in it,
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't
drink it.
It'll be as smooth as...
Yeah.
You won't need the crack cream.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There you go. Hey, I'll sign up because that's one of my problems. So. All righty, John.
Anyhow, guys, looking forward to another year of MotorMouth Radio.
Yep.
And talk to you soon.
We'll do it, John. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, John. Actually, Brian texted saying, said many moons ago when he was at the Porsche dealer, said he had some stuff that was worth. So it was very good stuff. He did not mention what it was though, but he says that there is. Yes,
I have a can of it. It's roast off, ROST -off, and what it's actually the German version of penetrant. It's like rust off.
Oh,
the stuff works great.
Really,
rust off. Yeah.
Is it as good as your Zim's crack cream?
Well, totally different applications, applicable uses. This is for rust and
cracks of a different kind.
Yeah, kind of.
That's for. He also said the Chesapeake house is 45 minutes from his house. So
exactly.
So I could not have gotten there.
I don't have enough time to get into the ins and outs of this brake thing, but I will mention one part of the story that I wanted to hit on.
Yeah.
People in general don't ever pay attention to have brake fluid flushed or changed in the car, and we've preached that for many years.
Yes.
And I remember back to like in the 70s when I started driving. I changed drum brakes and drums all the time, but I don't remember ever bleeding brakes and never changing a master cylinder, and that stuff.
What?
Wow. Yeah, it just wasn't in my lexicon or my ballywick at the time. I never did. Now I do it like almost every week.
Well, the only time yes, recycling and changing brake fluid. I was a disciple of because of the show, because I never changed the brake fluid. The only time I changed the brake fluid is if I popped a wheel cylinder. Then brake fluid got changed. Sure. That was really it.
So I want to say people should, like for this year, you want to make a resolution, bring your car into your favorite shop or dealership or wherever you go and ask them to do a brake fluid flush. Now these cars that are in the late 90s and early 2000s that have ABS, like Mike's truck, are having problems with the ABS pumps and accumulators and blocks, and there's a lot of rust happening. And I believe it can be prevented with regular flushes to keep the moisture out. But you need to do what's called a computer bleed in many cases. Now, you don't need to do that as maintenance. Like I did my FJ yesterday, and I did a regular wheel bleed with my Mighty Vac tool.
Right.
Because I didn't have any air in the system. And I'll tell you something, my brake pedal does feel better, maybe just by changing the fluid. But if you do change a wheel component, or there's air in the system for whatever reason, you need to do a computer bleed on those vehicles. And it's through a scan tool. It's not a hard thing. The scan tool does half the work for you. You just have to follow the prompts. So I'm going to say this at first base here, have your fluid changed. And the intervals, there's argument over the intervals. Every 3 years, every 4 years, maybe, I'd say at least. That's the furthest I'd go. I do mine.
I agree.
When I have a car in the driveway and I know it's been a little while and the hood's up, I'm doing something else, an oil change or whatever I'm doing, I'll just pop the master cylinder cap, suck out that fluid, and you can tell by the color. It gets darker as it gets older.
Yes.
Because it's the rubber from the hoses that's getting deposited in the fluid. And there's also copper. There's a lot of trace metals that are in that fluid. So if you suck that reservoir dry with a turkey baster and fill it with fresh fluid, you've now just changed. We don't know what the real percentage is. I guess at it, I'm going to say anywhere between 70 and 85% of the fluid is held in that reservoir.
And it's amazing how it circulates through the system.
It does. It goes back and forth.
Yeah.
So, but the bleed procedure is something we'll talk about more in depth, because I want to, let people know what's entailed and what you should do and maybe shouldn't do. But yeah, just do that. If you do that a couple times a year, you buy a quart of brake fluid. That'll last you a while. When I bleed brakes, some cars, especially that were a problem or had a lot of new parts, I could have gone through the better part of a gallon of brake fluid on that redo of the system, because it was dry,
Yeah. And you have to pump fluid through it in order to seal the system. Basically,
it's got to be filled. Yeah.
It's got to be filled, and it's got to be extracted. That fluid is like sacrificial, that first amount of fluid, just so you get the air out with it.
I'll tell you this, like the dirty fluid, of course, you get rid of. But when I'm doing a car and I know the system is all new or mostly all new, and I'm just putting fluid in to get a pedal, the fluid that's coming back out into my container is new. It's I can see it's clean. It's the stuff.
Right.
I will put that back in the reservoir. It hasn't.
You will.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been in service. It's been through the system, and I'll put that back into the reservoir. To me, it's new fluid. I have no problem doing that. No problem.
See, I won't do that. That's funny.
Well, you know what? So that's even better.
I just toss it, because I always feel that it's passing through. It's taking some of the dirt out with it. I think you're putting some of the dirt back into the master cylinder when you do what you're doing. I kind of just get rid of it. I use it sacrificially. What I try and do, this may be just as bad. What I try and do is sometimes you have old brake fluid that the can was open, the bottle was open, but it was capped and was put aside. So air has gotten into it. Remember how Bronk used to hate that type of brake fluid? No, that stuff is junk. Now I will take that and sacrifice that first.
Okay. See,
that'll go into the master. I know that's going to get urinated out.
I'm a little more cognizant of it, because working in a shop, I have to go tell the guy, hey, look, we need more brake fluid. You say, what are you doing using all the brake fluid? So I'll save a little. So listen, with that, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back next week with more Motormouth Radio. Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer. Stay tuned for Kim. Listen to Thunder Road, because she's coming up next. Kim, what do we tell the people waiting for us? Well, Chris, what do we tell the people waiting for us out for me in the bargain lot? Whatever.
You can ask Kim too.
Maybe for Kim too. Yeah. What are we going to tell her?
Don't follow us home, and take care of your classic car this year. And thank you both for listening.
Right. See you next week. 90.3 WHBC. See ya.
See you. Bye.
This show on